On Friday, January 16th, 2026, Kandi Burruss sat down on the Today Show and said something that stopped fans in their tracks. She opened up about her recent divorce from Todd Tucker, revealing that it turned her world upside down. But here's what made her confession so powerful. Despite the heartbreak, despite the legal battles brewing behind the scenes, despite accusations flying in court documents, she looked into the camera and said, "We are still family." This is the story of how one of reality TV's most beloved couples went from a fairy tale wedding broadcast on Bravo to a messy divorce that's exposed financial disputes, custody battles, and the painful reality that sometimes love isn't enough. But it's also the story of a woman refusing to let her pain define her, turning to Broadway as therapy while fighting to protect her children and her peace. Background context. Epoch 4 to 5. RHOA. To understand how we got here, you need to understand who Kandi Burruss is and what she and Todd Tucker built together. Kandi Burruss, 49, and Todd Tucker, 52, first met behind the scenes during filming for the Real Housewives of Atlanta in 2011. Rolling Stone Tucker was working as a producer on the show's fourth season. Kandi was already an established star, a Grammy-winning songwriter who penned hits like TLC's No Scrubs and Destiny's Child's Bills, 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 and a founding member of the R&B group Escape. But meeting Todd changed everything. Their relationship moved quickly, with an engagement announced in 2013 and a wedding the following year. Variety. And not just any wedding, a lavish ceremony themed on the 1988 Eddie Murphy movie Coming to America, broadcast on Bravo in a spin-off called The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Kandi's wedding. It was grand, romantic, and public, exactly what reality TV dreams are made of. Kandi and Todd entered the relationship with daughters from previous relationships. Kandi was mom to Riley Burruss, and Todd was the father of Kayla Tucker. They expanded their family in 2016 when Kandi gave birth to their son, Ace Wells Tucker. Variety. The pregnancy had complications, which is why the couple chose surrogacy for their second child together. In 2019, the couple welcomed their second child together, a daughter named Blaze Tucker. Variety. But they weren't just building a family, they were building an empire. In addition to raising their family, Kandi and Todd spent the past decade building a very successful business empire that included everything from feature films to stage productions to multiple restaurants. Variety, they opened Old Lady Gang, a Southern cuisine restaurant chain in Atlanta. They produced Broadway shows. They starred in their own Bravo spinoff, Kandi and the Gang. They ran a trucking business. They were the definition of a power couple, both personally and professionally intertwined. At BravoCon 2025 in November, just days before filing for divorce, Kandi thanked her husband for all his support when she received the highly coveted Lifetime Achievement Award. To Todd, thank you for surviving the blogs, the shade, the rumors, the lies, the truths, the almost fights, the actual fights, the reunions. She joked, "You earned this award." 2. Variety. But Todd wasn't there to hear those words, and fans noticed. They also noticed that Kandi's wedding ring was missing, and that her Instagram had changed from Kandi Burruss Tucker to just Kandi Burruss. The signs were there, even as Kandi stood on stage thanking her absent husband. The divorce announcement, 4 Golf 7 Wise. On November 21st, 2025, in an exclusive report by People, Burruss shared that the choice to divorce came only after significant reflection and spiritual grounding. Rolling Stone. Her statement was heartfelt and deliberate. "After deep thought and a lot of prayer, I've made the decision to move forward with a divorce. This is a difficult and emotional time, but my focus remains on protecting my peace, being the best mother I can be, and co-parenting with love and respect. I'm stepping into a new chapter, pouring into my work, my family, and my own growth. I'm grateful to everyone who supported us throughout the years, and I ask for privacy, grace, and understanding as we navigate this transition with our family." Rolling Stone fans were devastated. After 11 years of marriage and 14 years together, Kandi and Todd seemed like they could survive anything. They'd weathered criticism from Kandi's mother, Mama Joyce, who famously didn't approve of Todd. They'd survived business pressures and the scrutiny of being on reality television. They'd built businesses, raised children, and created a life together. But 3 days after the announcement, on November 24th, Kandi went live on Amazon Live and revealed something crucial. To be clear, yes, I filed Friday, but this is something that has, been brewing for a while, she said, media mass. Sometimes, you're cool, you know what I mean? You're moving, you're mixing, you're moving, you're hanging out with friends, she noted. But then sometimes you have your moments of sadness, And me being the Taurus that I am, I like to keep those moments to myself. Media mass. This was key. Kandi had been going through this privately for months while maintaining her public persona. I've been going through it, child. I've been going through it. Life has been lifing me, okay? She admitted. Rolling Stone. According to sources, the two separated a few months ago, after growing apart for some time, and it's been an amicable split with legitimately no drama. Remind magazine. But as we'll see, no drama wouldn't last long. Kandi's response and coping mechanism, 7 tier 10. On January 16, 2026, Kandi appeared on Today with Jenna and Chanel to promote her role in the Broadway musical and Juliet. But the conversation quickly turned to her divorce and how she was coping. Her answer was both heartbreaking and inspiring. When asked if her Broadway role has been a distraction from the heartbreak, Kandi admitted, "It definitely has helped. When I decided to do this show, I was in the thick of it. It has been the best therapy for me because sometimes you need something to put your focus into, something to keep your mind out of a sad place." Wikipedia. For me, singing, performing, learning to be better, make myself better, work out more, work on my vocals, do everything that I'm supposed to do to make sure I'm the best I can be on stage in front of everybody. Behind the scenes, I might be breaking down, but I have to keep it together. It gives me motivation. Wikipedia. This is the reality of what Kandi has been living. Performing on Broadway 8 times a week, singing and dancing, smiling for audiences, while internally dealing with the collapse of her marriage. Think about that for a moment. Every night, she has to walk on stage and deliver a flawless performance, while her personal life is falling apart. We all go through things in life where it feels like our world is turning upside down, but we have to remember, regardless of whatever is happening to us in this moment, we have to keep pushing through. She said, "We have to figure out what's going to happen to me tomorrow. What's going to happen to me next year? I can't get stuck in what's happening to me right now." Wikipedia. This philosophy, looking forward instead of wallowing in the present pain, has clearly been keeping Kandi going. I always tell my friends and everybody, I'm always working on my next move while I'm in my current move. My current move is partially very crazy, but the other part is amazing, and I try to lean into that. Wikipedia. But perhaps the most important thing Kandi emphasized was her commitment to co-parenting. "We have determined that no matter what, we are always going to be great co-parents for our kids," she said. "That means that we're going to spend holidays together sometimes because we're still family, even though he and I decided to go our separate ways. We try to make it as easy as possible for our children." Wikipedia. And they've been putting this into practice. Kandi spent Christmas with her former husband and their family. Wikipedia. On New Year's Eve, when both wanted to take the kids to Great Wolf Lodge, they went together despite being in this awkward space, as Kandi described it. The real facts and legal drama, 10-13 RHOA. Now here's where things get complicated. While Kandi has been publicly emphasizing co-parenting and family, behind the scenes, there's been intense legal drama. In new documents filed in January 2026, Burruss explained that her 2 minor children, Ace and Blaze, incur significant monthly expenses and accused Tucker of failing to pay for any of them. The high costs cover the children's nanny tuition, extracurricular activities, birthday parties, medical bills, travel, and daily needs. Bob Weir. Additionally, Burruss accused Tucker of failing to pay for the mortgage on their home or their shared expenses. NME, according to the legal filing, Kandi has been carrying the entire financial burden for their children and their shared household. But that's not all. Burruss accused Tucker of purposefully interfering with her one-on-one time with their children. Specifically, during the recent Christmas holiday break, Tucker attempted to prohibit the children from traveling to New York to visit Burruss, even though she had previously incurred costs of travel for the children, and provided Tucker with significant notice of her intent to exercise parenting time during the children's designated holiday break. Bob Weir, remember, Kandi is currently living in Manhattan while performing in Juliet. She wanted to bring Ace and Blaze to New York for Christmas break, and according to her legal filing, Todd tried to block it, even though she'd given him plenty of notice and paid for everything. In her filing, Burruss stated, Tucker does not exercise parenting time with the minor children on a significant basis, despite the facade of his 2 to 3 minute social media videos chronicling his daddy daycare on his social media platforms. NME, this is harsh. Kandi is essentially saying that Todd posts videos on social media pretending to be an involved father, but in reality, he's not spending significant time with their children. It's a direct attack on his parenting, and it contradicts the amicable image they've been presenting publicly. Tucker filed documents of his own weeks before Kandi's recent filing, requesting primary physical custody of their children and seeking to nullify their prenuptial agreement. NME. So Todd is fighting back. He wants primary custody, and he wants to invalidate their prenup, which likely protects much of Kandi's considerable wealth. This is where the amicable divorce with no drama narrative falls apart. There's clearly tension around money, custody, and control, and yet, publicly, both continue to emphasize family and co-parenting. Analysis 13-15 guys sakes. So what's really happening here? Why the disconnect between public statements and private legal battles? First, we need to understand the financial dynamic. Kandi Burruss is worth an estimated $30 million. She's a Grammy-winning songwriter with music royalties that will continue for life. She's a successful businesswoman with multiple ventures. She's now a Broadway star. Todd Tucker, while successful in his own right as a producer and entrepreneur, doesn't have anywhere near Kandi's earning power or wealth. The prenuptial agreement likely protects Kandi's pre-marriage assets and potentially limits what Todd can claim in the divorce. His attempt to invalidate it suggests he believes he's entitled to more, perhaps arguing that they built businesses together during the marriage and he deserves a larger share. Second, the custody battle reveals deeper issues. Kandi's accusation that Todd doesn't spend significant time with the children despite his social media presence is pointed. It suggests that Todd may have been more focused on the public image of being a devoted father than the actual work of parenting. Meanwhile, Kandi has been the primary breadwinner and, according to her filings, has been paying for everything. Third, there's the geographical issue. Kandi is in New York, performing on Broadway until March. Todd is in Atlanta with the kids. This physical separation makes co-parenting logistically challenging and creates opportunities for conflict, like the Christmas incident where Todd allegedly tried to prevent the children from visiting Kandi in New York. Fourth, consider the public versus private dichotomy. Both Kandi and Todd have spent over a decade on reality television. They know how to manage their public image. They know that maintaining an amicable appearance is better for their brands, their businesses, and most importantly, their children. So publicly, they emphasize family and co-parenting. Privately, their lawyers are fighting over money, custody, and assets. Kandi admitted in January, "I came home to spend it with Ace and Blaze, but Todd wanted to take the kids to Great Wolf Lodge. And, we're in this awkward space right now. So it was like, okay, I guess we're both taking the kids to Great Wolf Lodge." Rolling Stone. This reveals the reality. It's awkward, it's uncomfortable, but they're trying to make it work for their children. Their actual achievements. 15 new honor, 16, 30. Before we finish, let's acknowledge what Kandi and Todd actually built together over 14 years. They created a blended family with 4 children: Riley, Kayla, Ace, and Blaze. Despite the complications that blended families bring, they made it work for over a decade. They built a successful restaurant empire with Old Lady Gang, which has multiple locations in Atlanta and has become a beloved Southern cuisine destination. They produced Broadway shows together. Just this year, they were part of the production team behind the Othello revival, one of Broadway's biggest hits. They starred in multiple television shows together: The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Kandi's Wedding, and Kandi and the Gang, giving fans an inside look at their relationship and business ventures. They supported each other's individual careers. Todd supported Kandi's music, her Broadway aspirations, and her entrepreneurial ventures. Kandi supported Todd's production work and helped elevate his profile in the entertainment industry. And most importantly, they gave each other two beautiful children who, by all accounts, are thriving despite their parents' separation. Kandi's current Broadway run, In Juliet, represents her continued evolution as an entertainer. She's not resting on her Grammy or her reality TV fame. She's challenging herself, growing, and proving that she's a legitimate triple threat who can sing, act, and dance on one of the world's biggest stages. Bigger lessons: 1630, 1730. What can we learn from Kandi and Todd's divorce? First, even the strongest-looking relationships can fall apart. Kandi and Todd seemed unshakable. They'd built businesses together, raised children together, and weathered public scrutiny together. But sometimes, as Kandi said, things don't work out, and it just is what it is. Second, you can be going through hell privately while maintaining a professional public face. Kandi has been performing on Broadway 8 times a week while dealing with divorce proceedings, custody disputes, and financial battles. She's been smiling for fans and delivering flawless performances while breaking down behind the scenes, as she admitted. That takes incredible strength. Third, prioritizing your children doesn't mean ignoring your own needs. Kandi has been clear that her children are her priority, but she's also been clear that she needs to protect her peace and focus on her own growth. These aren't contradictory goals, they're complementary. To be the best mother she can be, she needs to take care of herself. Fourth, co-parenting after divorce is messy and awkward, but it's necessary. That Great Wolf Lodge trip, with both parents taking the kids despite being in an awkward space, is real co-parenting. It's not always pretty, it's not always comfortable, but it's what the children need. Finally, work can be therapeutic during difficult times. Kandi has been explicit about how Broadway has saved her during this difficult period. Having something to focus on, something that demands excellence, something that gets you out of your own head, that can be life-saving during heartbreak. Conclusion: 1730 est 18 On January 16, 2026, Kandi Burruss told America that her divorce from Todd Tucker turned her world upside down. But she also showed America what resilience looks like. It looks like performing on Broadway while your heart is breaking. It looks like spending holidays with your ex-husband for your children's sake, even when it's awkward. It looks like filing legal documents to protect yourself and your kids while publicly emphasizing family and respect. It looks like admitting life has been lifing me while also declaring I'm always working on my next move. Todd and we are working to be the best friends we can be, Kandi concluded on Today. Wikipedia. That's the goal, not perfection, not pretending everything's fine, but working toward friendship for the sake of their children and their shared history. Kandi Burruss filed for divorce after 11 years of marriage, but she didn't file for divorce from being a mother, from being a businesswoman, from being an artist, or from being herself. She's stepping into a new chapter, as she said, one where she pours into her work, her family, and her own growth. The marriage didn't last, but the family does. The love for their children does. And Kandi's commitment to her own peace and purpose does. That's not failure, that's survival. That's strength. That's what it looks like when your world turns upside down and you decide to keep standing anyway.